Peace and love, beautiful people. It's your girl, Karina. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we are going to talk about Mars in Taurus and how, with this placement, you can understand how to lose weight, because Mars is your activity, it's your physical power, it's your sexual power. It's kind of what you actively do every day, right? And it's actually Mars in Taurus and Mars in the second house, because those two embody each other, and I'm pretty much referencing both of those energies when we think about Mars in Taurus and Mars in the second house. So that also means that I want you to watch this video and then watch the companion video, which is either the zodiac sign and the house that your Mars is placed in, okay? So that you can combine the two and get a great formula for, how to apply the best ways in which you can lose weight and build your body and your muscular system and all of that based off of your Mars placement, okay? So, Mars and Taurus, I'm calling you guys the sugar babies. Hey. Because Taurus is Venus ruled, and Venus rules over sugar, okay? Venus being a sugary energy means that it is so difficult for this placement to be of the more fit or slim types, because of the fact that you are probably really indulgent and you love igniting your senses, and you probably enjoy all types of foods, meaning that you like everything from the high end, well, seasoned good food to the lower class and sugary snacks and things like that. So really, it's difficult here for this placement, because you may enjoy a lot of sugar in things like your coffee and enjoy drinking sugary drinks, things like that. Like, it's really difficult to be in this world and be avoidant of sugar, and to be a placement that is actively enjoying and consuming sugar and enjoying and consuming delicious, decadent foods that you probably, unless your metabolism is really high, you probably have difficulty. So I made this series for placements like these, right? Because certain placements, they're not going to have as much of a difficulty. Certain people are not going to just have as much difficulty, but there's certain people that are born with placements that really, it's hard to be very, very healthy. Okay, so how does one apply this energy, right, to their day-to-day life? Okay, well, let's first start with the fact that you have to look at whatever it is that you're consuming and replace it with, I mean, this is like typical, like, diet and exercise advice, but I'm going to tell you the spiritual reasons why. So you're going to need to replace whatever it is that you like with something that is healthy, but it needs to be equally as tasty, decadent, and delicious for you, okay? And so that means that there might still be a little bit of sugar in there. There still might be a little bit of sweet and salty or whatever to it. But for instance, if you really love sodas, for instance, you're going to need to find an equivalent fizzy drink, because part of the reason that you might like soda, right, because we're talking about Taurus, is the stimulation of everything that you're experiencing on the tongue. For instance, sodas are also seltzery, right? Fizz. So part of the experience in drinking the soda is not just that it's sugary and it's tasty to you, but it's also the fizziness of it. So you might want to find an equal drink that incorporates seltzer and fizz, but also has taste to it. And this is a journey for you, and it's not going to be easy for you to change that. So really, this is one of the harder placements if you are overweight to overcome, okay? But the other thing is understanding that it can be just as simple as one thing that you love the most that is really prohibiting you from having major gains in the fact of having major success in losing weight. So really, you don't want to be the type of person that changes everything all at once, especially with a Taurus energy placement or second house energy placement, because you highly value the things that you're doing. You are very, fixed in how it is that you do things. So small and gradual change can be big, can give you big rewards. And a lot of the times, like in fitness opportunities, they're like, here's your new diet plan, and you're supposed to like change everything all at once. That doesn't work for this placement. You're not going to have long lasting success. So it has to be a journey in which you're like, okay, what is the one thing in my diet that is really making me, is really just really keeping me from seeing any sort of success, and begin to journey in replacing that one thing. Okay. And then also allowing herself to still indulge in that one thing once a week or once a month, eventually, once you gain yourself up to that. So the whole thing about this is gradual change, unless you have like a major transit happening in which you can do the change more, quickly. Right. So, that soda is one thing. Remember that for you guys, it's not just the taste. It is the taste. It's like 50% of the taste, but it's the other senses that are also evoked when you have these certain lovely foods that you love. So look at what it is. Is it the smell? Is it the feeling? Is it the experience of going into the store and getting it? Is it the convenience of it? Because that's another sense that doesn't is not understood about Taurus, but is a big thing. Like Taurus likes convenience. Taurus likes to have things be easy for them to grasp, to enjoy, right? So that's the other thing, is thinking about the whole experience when you're consuming something. And when you're replacing that, you also need to replace the entire experience of it. So this is why it is a journey. And this is why I just recommend for you to take it really slow. Okay. The other thing is understanding feminine drinks and non-feminine drinks, which means masculine drinks. And I know that I'll probably be saying this in another video for another Mars placement, but it's important for a placement where it's really hard to, change. So understanding that there are certain foods like fruits that are sweet and sugary, and that actually, like when you look at Mars, Mars is hormonal. So the sugary stuff, right, speaks to a more masculine energy. So while it's like, oh yeah, you need to have your fruits and whatnot, you might sometimes be out of balance hormonally because of the sugar consuming that you're having. And so this is why we have hormonal issues, is also because of things that we eat and the types of things that we eat. So understanding that fruits are more masculine and ignite that more masculine energy within you. And so what you're also needing to do is know how to balance the two, in which having leafy greens, it's not just that, oh, you need to eat your greens, but knowing that leafy greens and greener foods and vegetables, those things are more feminine energy. So if you're looking at hormonal imbalance, which you may find with Mars and Venus signs, that you need to also look at the, are you having more masculine foods, or are you having more feminine foods, and are you equaling them out? Are you keeping them in balance? So like, let's say if you start having smoothies as a replacement meal or something like that, make sure that you are focused on balancing the two and not having too much fruits in there and not enough leafy greens, right? So it's like the same exact advice that a fitness person would say, but I'm giving you the spiritual reasons behind it as well. And so I hope that that might motivate you as well, because morals and values are a big thing with Taurus. So the more that you have more morals and values, the stronger your conviction may be in wanting to make that change. Now, the other thing about Taurus, and specifically the second house, is that the second house is a succedent house. So you have three types of houses: angular, succedent, or cadent. Okay. And so for the first three, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, or first house, second, and third house, Aries is the strongest at the angular, succedent is Taurus. So you're not as strong, meaning that your Mars doesn't have as much willpower as the first one. It's not as initiating. So it may take something that inspires you to want to make the change as well. And unfortunately, Mars and Taurus inspiration may come from more of a jealousy, painful place, because that's just what it might be with Taurus wanting something that somebody else has that they wish that they had. So you might have to go dark in order to find your inspiration, which means, what is it that you are aspiring to want that maybe you see that others have, and give that self to yourself so that you offset the jealousy or the feelings of jealousy, wishing that you had something, or feeling just a little bit miserable because you're kind of stuck or stagnant in this one type of body placement. So aesthetic pleasing is good too, because it's like, oh, I want this body. But the thing is that you probably, if you may be dealing with feelings of insecurity and worthlessness, because it's not your body you want, it's somebody else's body you want. It's very psychological. And Taurus being on the Taurus and Scorpio axis, sometimes you're not always going as deep as you need to understand why it is that you feel the things that you do. Why is it that you want the things that you want? That could also be as, why is it that you crave the things that you crave? Sometimes the craving is coming from a feeling of needing dopamine, a feeling of needing relief from an emotional state that you're in. So this is also about looking at your overall life and fulfillment and feelings of fulfillment, in which you may be overeating to overcompensate the fact that you are not happy in another area of life. So incorporating activities that you enjoy doing and hobbies that you enjoy doing might keep you from overeating. So partaking in entertainment and pleasures that don't require eating is another thing to consider. Okay. Now, when it comes to working out, because your Mars placement is actually in a very awkward time of the clock, because the birth chart is a clock and can tell you when to be active, here's the thing that you'll need to consider. So where the second house is actually is like in the middle of the night, right? It's not like in at noon if your Mars was in the 10th house. So working out in the middle of the night is not going to cut it. It's not realistic. Unless you're doing like an overnight shift or something like that. So you also can look at where your sun is at and look and see what time of the day your sun sits. And then you can be able to choose to work out anytime it's past your sun sign. Okay. So like, let's say if your sun sits in the 7th house, right? That's going to be between the 4 and 6 o'clock hour. So you might want to wait until after 4 o'clock, and anytime after 4 o'clock until you go to sleep or until you have dinner, that you work out, because that will be when you have vitality. So your sun placement can be a secondary option to when to exhaust your physical self, right? So with being Venus, you're not going to be wanting to exhaust your physical self. So you need to use Mars or the sun to do that. And because your Mars is in the middle of the night, look to where your sun is at to give you more insight as to when to push your willpower and your vitality. Otherwise, you won't have the willpower. Okay. Then also thinking about making it more of a routine, something that is natural to you, that it's like, boom, I'm here, I'm here. It's almost easy to just drift right into it, because that will create a habit that will stay with you. And a fixed habit for Mars and Taurus is the key to success. Peace and love.